It's a great day in SimWorld, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to this audio-only version of SimWorld Today. I'm B-Ron, the voice behind the mic here in the host chair this morning, and alongside me is my good buddy, the duo once again of SimWorld Today. The OG duo is back as Siege joins me in the co-host chair this morning. Siege, good morning, man. How you doing?
Good morning. Wonderful. What a Tuesday. I'll tell you what, it's like Super Monday. We're really out here.
We really out here, man. We are really out here. We are ready to get this show on the road. Let's get things started by spending a little bit of time in the SWLB because the home run derby was last night, Siege, and this did not disappoint at all. It was a competitive showcase, competitive. I used the word last night to describe it. I forget what word that was right now, but it was a good word. I swear it's a good word. The format worked out really well. I think it was the best format we've seen in a few years. I think JK mentioned it in the thread we were talking in there last night, talking about how reminded him of the 3-point shootout, and I have to agree with how it worked out. What did you think overall about the derby itself, and of course the winner of the derby, Teoscar Hernandez, first Dodger ever to win the home run derby?
Well, you took my tag on. I'm not a huge SWLB guy, BL. But I knew that he was the first Dodger ever to win it, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. I feel like
Yeah.
they're one of the more storied franchises when you talk about storied franchises. But it was fun. It was entertaining. But B-Ron, what I really think we need to talk about is the national anthem that went on. Um, I think that needs to be reviewed. Something's got to be fixed. That was certainly one of the anthems of all time.
That's what I
It
said the same
certainly
thing.
was.
I said the
It
same thing.
certainly was.
I said that's sure a song, man. That's sure a song. Look, I will say this as someone who does sing and who has sung in choirs in the past. National anthems, hard song. What do you think about it?
Hard.
Hard song, yeah.
Certainly. And that's a big event. That's a big event. And I've been racking my brain, B-Ron, on how someone's rendition of the Star Spangled Banner could get the word awful to trend on X. And I think it was a bit. I think it was a bit. I think she did it on purpose. I think, and I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. That's fine. But that's the only thing I'm willing to believe that went down. But other than that, sensational event, always fun. Really, it truly is. What's the phrase I'm looking for? It truly is kind of quintessential America to have a big event where a bunch of really good baseball players just slam home runs. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
What more could you ask for?
yeah,
Watch some
exactly.
guys slam home runs and drink a couple beers. I mean, what else do you want?
Exactly. And look, let me say this before we move on. Alec Boehm, whose name I got wrong yesterday. Alec Boehm really impressed me yesterday in the home run derby. 21 in the first round, 15 in the semifinal round, and he just missed going by one against the eventual winner, Teoscar Hernandez. And that final round was so intense, man. Bobby Wade Jr., it came down to the very last one for him to tie. And 1 out left, had to tie it, and the ball just missed going over the wall, man. They say football's a game of inches, baseball is a game of inches too, in that respect, man.
It's all a game of inches. Life is a game of inches, B-Ron. Every inch is important.
You know what? Absolutely right. And wise man once said, never apologize for length. We're going to keep the show moving because we got some SWBA action to talk about because there is more drama, believe it or not, in this Kawhi Leonard Team USA situation.
Thank
Because
God.
yeah, right. So we talked about it a few days ago, or before on the week, or before the last Friday show. Me and Replay talked about it actually. Kawhi was pulled from the team, and Derek White took his spot, right? And Rick had theorized that the Clippers were the ones that pulled him out and said, "Nah, he's not playing here." Apparently, that's not true. The Clippers president of basketball operations, Lawrence Frank, said the team was, quote, very disappointed with the decision to pull him from the roster last week. He said that Leonard did not suffer a setback with his injury, his right knee that he had repaired and everything else. And there's even a quote here from Frank. It's quote, "No, it was USA Basketball's call, and I was quite frankly very disappointed with the decision. Kawhi wanted to play. We wanted him to play. I was there the first 2 practices. He looked very good. Was a full participant in everything they did. I wasn't there for the third practice, where ultimately that was the point where they decided to go in a different direction last Wednesday. I expressed to them that I really wish they would have given Kawhi more time." This is certainly interesting, Steve, because again, all we thought was that, oh no, this was a Clippers thing. They pulled him out. So what do we make of this now that if this news has come to light?
It's really interesting. I to be honest, I thought similarly to what Rick Blaze thought. I thought it had to do with Kawhi's health is never really at 100%. We don't really want to mess with that.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, yeah, I feel like that might have been like the pretty common thing to think was going on here, right? That would make sense. But it's super interesting because and there's been a lot of people saying they should have replaced them with Jalen Brown or maybe some other selections. I've heard Kyrie Irving's name thrown out there, all these names, and
yeah,
Derek White, sensational, totally deserves the spot. But it is super interesting because you wonder what that conversation looked like. Was there things that were going on in practice? Was it maybe a lack of intensity from Kawhi in practice? Kawhi Leonard is a Hall of Famer in my mind, and I'm sure he is in a lot of other people. So it's kind of something had to have gone on that
right.
that made it that made this make sense. That made people want to do this. That made Team USA. I know Grant Hill put out a statement about it. The director of Team USA basketball, and so I don't know. I feel like maybe we'll get more details. Maybe we won't. It might simply just be that that's what's going on. That's what's going on. Kawhi, if I had to guess, Biron, it was a lack of intensity in practice. And yeah, it's very interesting to me because that's of all players for that to happen to, Kawhi is not who I would have guessed.
Yeah, Kawhi is not the player I would have guessed something like that to happen to. Uh, it's it's very confusing because again, when we talk about a guy like Kawhi Leonard, we know he's one of those players who's you his personality may not show it all the time, but you know he cares about the game and what he does and all that other business. So
Yep.
so for me, this is very very confusing especially to make the decision to remove him from the team and replace with Derek White, even if we now know that it wasn't the Clippers decision to make really. So it does make you wonder what's going on, what happened behind the scene, what was that conversation, what was that talk like you said, to get them to the point where they were like, yeah, you know, we can find somebody else to take his spot. You know what I mean? Which doesn't make any
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense at all. I'm looking through here, and here's another quote from Frank. I'm not going to get into the specifics of kind of what's been happening. All I'll tell you is that he spent a great deal of time getting ready for this. He had a really solid progression. He looked great in the practices. So like again, if he looked good in the practice, and if his knee was holding up all right all intents and purposes, what happened? To get him to get to this point, and maybe we'll find more out about this. Yeah, as the days go on, because this just came out, so I don't know, man. I don't know. This is a very interesting decision here, from Team USA, for Kawhi Leonard. I guess the good thing for Kawhi is that he doesn't have to uh, rush back from the injury in that regard. I mean, sure,
Yeah.
you obviously want to play, but you know, I'm pretty sure if he got hurt playing for Team USA, Clippers would have not been okay with that. So, you know, at the same time, maybe it is a blessing in disguise for Kawhi that he's not actively a part of the team anymore in some roundabout way when you can, think about it in a different fashion, maybe. See, I don't know.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, the decision was made for a reason, whether we understand it or not. There was a decision made. It was made for a reason, and that's yeah, it's as simple as that to me.
It is what it is, yeah. It is what it is. Look, speaking of decisions being made, that actually gets perfectly into our final topic for the morning because SimWorld Prep League officials have gone back again, hit the old triple dip on us, and they've decided we've gone down to 8. We've seen the talent come in, but go back up to 9. Psych! Back up to 10. Back up to 10. Rosters are going back up to the size they were the past 3 seasons in SimWorld Prep. Back up to 10 Siege. What are your thoughts on this decision to go back up to 10 after going from 10 to 8 to 9? Back up. Here we are at 10.
I think, and we've heard stories about it. We've heard there been reports coming out and everything that this is a historic influx of talent of kids, applying to gain eligibility for some world prep.
Yeah.
And to me, this is a win-win. This is a win-win. Yes, coaches are going to have larger rosters to manage. To some, that's an issue. Some coaches don't want a larger roster to manage. Some coaches want to have that 8-man rotation, have it a little tighter, not have to worry about that end of the roster, especially when you're working on player development and things like that. You want everyone to get their shot.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think this is good. Um, I think it's going to be a lot more room for people to come out and get a chance to play. SimWorld Prep is growing rapidly,
Mm-hmm.
not just in fan base, but in the number of guys who can now identify this as a really really good opportunity.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I think this is a win-win all around. The league's gonna have more talent in it, more talent to compete against. All those things make it. I can't see this as a bad thing. I can't see this as a bad thing.
No, look, I agree with you. I don't think this is a bad decision at all. I will say that, yeah, like you, I don't think the league was ready for the amount of talent that was trying to get in here, and I think that just goes to show the level of interest in Simone Prep is very high, which is great in my personal opinion. Bring all the players in that we can because it just opens up the door for so many to show what they can do. Now, the thing about it, though, even with the 10-player roster for each of the teams we have, there will still be players who don't find their way onto a team. That's
Of course,
unfortunately the
of
the
course.
you know the realistic side of things. Even if you thought the 8-man roster was gonna cut down on players making teams, a 10-man roster, I think in some respects I think it makes it harder to fill out the roster. Even though you have more spots to work with, I think you have to be a little more selective about that 10th player on your roster. When it comes to the playing time in particular, something I had thought about was, hey, this is good because it gives you an even number of players. If there's 5 on the floor at one time and you have 10 players, that gives you 5 and 5, a starter unit and a bench unit. So if you really want to talk about developing your players and all that stuff, you literally just sub out your units every time you make subs. You only do mass substitutions. That way, literally everybody gets to play, and we're not talking about one guy getting 2 minutes, averaging 2 minutes off the bench. You know what I mean? Is that is
Yeah,
is that is, is that realistic? Is that possible? I don't think so. But
no.
but but the option is there to do a full platoon swap every time you make substitutions. This way, you kind of balance out the playing time in some way, shape, or form. I don't know how that works out numbers wise, minutes wise, obviously, but in my head, that just makes sense from a substitution situation. Is it gonna happen? Coach can call me crazy for that. Like, be wrong. What are you talking about? It's not how this works. I know that, but I'm just trying to go a way everybody can get playing time somewhat equally anyway.
Good guy Biron looking
Could
out
I
for
be
the little
wrong? Yeah,
guys.
exactly.
I love that. I love that. But again, it is a competitive league. You're gonna see guys who are just not really gonna get their time this year. And to be honest, here's the thing: even if it was an 8-man roster, you were gonna see the same thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the fact.
Yeah.
There are going to be guys who aren't going to play as much, especially as the season goes on. It's a pretty common thing. People like to shore up their rotation
Yeah.
going into, postseason basketball, and that'll be no different here.
Yeah, exactly. And especially those younger players too. Some of them might not see a lot of playing time because they're a little bit more raw than some. Now to be fair, everyone's kind of raw at this level. 15, 17-year-old players, they're all kind of raw in their own various ways. But you know what I mean. Some players just have it more together than others do, even at this small prep level.
Right? Absolutely. You got to find the rotation that works for you, the chemistry, what guys have chemistry, and basically what's going to give you the best chance to win
Yeah,
is always
exactly.
what you got to be looking at.
Exactly. Well, Siege, we are a winning combination here on SimWorld today, but our time for the day is up. Thank you all for joining us on this episode, this audio-only edition of SimWorld today. Thank you. As always, remember to hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to make sure you know when all of our shows, games, streams, and all that good stuff go live for you here on SimWorld TV. Marsh will be back in the host chair tomorrow, joined by JK, I believe. So, we'll see you tomorrow on SimWorld today. Remember, guys, SimWorld's the only place where you can see the game, be the game. We'll see you tomorrow.